Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo. With your host, Patrick Moran.
All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Big thank you to everyone out there, as always, for watching and for listening, for following and subscribing. We appreciate you very much. If you are watching this on the video side, we are actually streaming this live little after 9 p.m. here on a Sunday night. Of course, the big story, the Buffalo Bills, a 30-20 victory on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. They are 8-2 for the first time in 31 years. Joe from Queens joins me. Look, I think if you're Del Reed over at 26 Shirts or, these guys, Buff on Weck, Store 716, a lot of these really good Buffalo apparel places. There's the bear crack. You can start printing off AFC East divisional champion shirts pretty much right now. We'll get to that. What do you got there, man? What's your weekly ritual? What beer you got, Joe from Queens?
I got a Greenport. It's in North Fork, Long Island. A Bramble Paradise, which is dessert, Weiss. It's blueberries and raspberries. It's a bunch of berries. If you see it on the screen. Yeah,
that actually looks interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared a little bit because it's got berry and tart and jamming, and I'm not a big fan of tart, which is kind of scaring me a little bit. It was like they had like a bunch of miscellaneous beers in this brewery, and I was like, all right, well, I'll get like one of each just to try it out. So it's the first time I'm trying this out, and you can see the color on here. There you go for all our video people. Once listening live, you get to watch me drink while Pat goes through his amazing rundown that I have to stick with.
Hey, cheers to the Bills defense. Cheers to the Buffalo Bills defense, man.
This isn't bad. By the way, this isn't bad. I like it. You probably would like it, maybe. I don't know. It
feels like I suffer from heartburn. I think I would enjoy one of those, maybe two at the very most, but it's not one of those like you could just
5.8% alcohol.
Not too bad.
That's a good.
I mean, did you have one that was 10% last week?
Yeah, last week that was a big one. But this week I'm changing it up, man. So
Joe, before we even get into this game, and let me say this too again: if you're watching this on the video side, if you're on the YouTube channel or my Facebook, I know you could leave a comment. I'm not quite sure. We'll figure this out afterwards. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week. I don't think you could leave a comment on Twitter. Maybe you can. I don't know. You could try. But anyway, I've been saying for a while, if you follow us, how can you support the show? People ask me that a lot. And I say simply, we don't do Patreon. We don't do Substack. We don't have an insider.
You can PayPal me money if you want.
Any of that
I'll
stuff.
take that if you guys
Besides that, I just ask that people subscribe on the video and the audio side, because we are doing now, certain things on each side that are exclusive to that. Like, for an example, I know a lot of people are watching this show on YouTube right now. This Saturday, I dropped an audio-only episode, kind of a bonus episode on Saturday, because I had Sean Dolak from UB with me live on Friday's show. I didn't get to do my Bills weekly preview bowl prediction show, so I dropped kind of an audio-only one, and you wouldn't even know that if you only subscribe on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, also go to Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you hit the follow button there. That's all I ask. Anyway, before we get into this game, dude, big picture stuff. I'm going to put this up on the screen because I can't stop looking at this. The AFC East standings right now. We are 10 games in. The Buffalo Bills are 8-2. The second place team right now, tied. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots are at 3-7. There's 7 games left. The New York Jets are 3-7. They got shellacked at Arizona today. They quit, by the way, too. I watch a lot of that game. That defense in the second half just lay down. Aaron Rodgers pointing fingers at his own teammates, which he always does. I'll tell you this much about Sean McDermott. We've watched the Bills play a lot of shit games, a lot of shitty team. Just came out. Josh played terrible. The offense or the defense played terrible. I've never seen the Bills at least not look like they're playing hard. The Jets looked like they just gave up in Arizona. It was embarrassing. But kind of to my sarcastic point about Del Reed and the boys, rounding up the shirts here, this AFC East is over. The Bills won. The Jets lost. It's over, dude. It's over.
Yeah, it's a question of how many games they're going to win by, and
Mm,
It's a historical run by the Bills. Like they've never won 5 straight AFC East championships before.
right.
They won 4 from 88 to 92 in a row. They've never done 5, and they haven't done that, and that's pretty impressive. And put the drive for 5 or whatever you want to call on there for those shirts or whatever. Drive for 5 complete or whatever, or put that like how many games they've won on. But yeah, look, it's an easy run, and it's interesting how the rest of the season is gonna feel, because
Sure.
it's like they won the division. Now you're just playing for basically a higher seed. When it comes to that's what you're paying for. Because they're in the playoffs. Like we may as well just start like combing through like who do you want to play in the playoffs? Conversation, because that's where we're at.
I can't get over going back to August and September, our preview episodes where, for good reason, we were very concerned about the Bills.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe finishing in third place, not even winning the division, but quite possibly finishing in third place. There were a lot of people out there that thought the Bills were the third best team in the
I picked them
AFC this year.
I picked them to win fucking 9 games. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, shows how much I know, but they there's good stuff with them right now. The vibes are pretty good, and the next 4 games, which we'll get into later, are going to be. We'll see how good they really are coming up.
Sure.
So
Yeah, 100%. I just, yeah, it's just amazes me to think about things that way with this football team. And again, they're 8-2 for the first time in 31 years, partially because they're winning in different ways. I kind of want to talk about the defense first, because there's no doubt that the defense carried this team. We'll get into Josh Allen. I would say it was a messy day for the offense. And again, we'll kind of get into that. The production was there. The points are there. The Bills have scored 30 or more points 7 times in NFL or during the season. Most in the entire NFL this season. No one in the league has scored 30 points or more in a game more than the Bills have this season. But this was a defensive led effort. 4 takeaways here, including a pick 6, the very first Colts play of the game. 3 total interceptions, a fumble recovery. They also had a 4th and 2 stop, which was a sack. 4 sacks on the day. They held Jonathan Taylor to just 7 yards rushing in the second half. Go on and on and on. I'm just let's start with this. Let me ask you this. Look, I want to ask you to look at this from a Colts perspective, okay? You start Joe Flacco, and he was just as
big
brutal
mistake
as could be in the first. Let's say you're a Colts fan right now, and you're seeing 39-year-old Joe Flacco out there looking awful while your 4th overall pick, who has not played well, and he got benched, but when your offense looks like it did today with Joe Flacco, how do you leave him in there for the whole game? How do you not try to spearhead a comeback with your 4th overall pick? If you're an Indy fan, you got to wonder what the hell this team is doing, right?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit. I mean, we've seen it here where the young quarterback gets the plug pulled pretty fast. It happened to EJ Manuel. It happened to JP Lossman with Kelly Holcomb. And, I remember both those seasons I disagreed with him. Even if you felt that they were worse, they were an upgrade. The veteran guy like Kyle Orton or Kelly Holcomb taking over. It's like, you're not going to win. You're gonna be like 7-9. Like you got to get your guy, your rookie, in there to see if he's good or not. And I don't know what they have a new head coach like from last year to this year, I believe. Yeah, because last year was last year to Saturday. I forgot who their head coach is, but I thought it was.
How am I off the top of my head?
I don't know if the head coach inherited them last year. He might have. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, to pull the plug that early seems really just stupid. Like you're not. It's a fourth pick in the draft. It's too early to do that. But if you're the and as I said, I remember how it was with the Bills and with EJ, and you kind of in that get rich quick scheme of we're gonna we got to get some wins, and it doesn't make sense. And like I like I say, I feel bad for the Colts fans. I don't really care, but that's not how you win. That's not. You're not doing shit with Joe Flacco. Like,
you're not a Super Bowl contender. You want to find out what you got with your quarterback, right? Scott Steichen, by the way, Steichen, this is his 2nd season, full season as Colts head coach.
Jeff Saturday was 2 years ago, when he did his little cameo.
Do you feel like maybe you got a little job security that you're afraid if you're the head coach and you feel like you can win enough games with the veteran that it keeps your job, whereas the rookie, or not rookie now, a 2nd-year guy, but he missed most of last year. He got hurt. So in some ways, he's kind of sort of like, not officially, but a rookie. I don't know, man. If I'm a Colts fan, I'm really annoyed by that. And they were booing him. They were booing him before he came out. Like that first series of the game, there were fans out there that were booing Joe Flacco, and they were booing him a lot harder after the first play.
Yeah, I mean, he's been bad for them.
It's a pick six.
He hasn't been. I don't know how he pulled that out of his ass last year with the Browns. Like it didn't make any sense, but he did. Mm-hmm. But I think that Cinderella's shoe or whatever, that shit's gone, for him. So, but yeah, they made a mistake, and now you're looking at the clock is ticking. It's like, what do you do? Do you go back, or you stay with Flacco? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm glad we're not in that position. I'm glad we're not going to be in that position for another 5, 7, 10 years. Hopefully, like Josh Allen's our guy, and I do not miss those fucking days at all.
There were 5 interceptions in this game between the two quarterbacks. One of them an elite quarterback. One of them was an elite quarterback a long time ago. And all 5 of those interceptions by both quarterbacks were ugly. Like they were on the quarterback. All 3 of those Flacco interceptions were on Joe Flacco. Yeah. He earmailed that one to Pierce, that Rapp picked off, which we'll talk about in a minute. The Austin Johnson screen pass, that was a terrible decision. And then, of course, Taron Johnson. Talk about Taron Johnson here, Joe. He gets a pick 6 to start the game off again. The Bills get the ball first, which I'm really starting to hate. I used to love that. I'm starting to hate it now because they never do anything with the ball.
You want your double dips.
Yeah, they punt. So you're like, shit, man, you don't do nothing with it. You punt. The Colts get the ball in the very, very first snap of the game for the Colts. Flacco throws a pick to Taron, who makes a couple nice moves. Rasul Douglas gives him a nice block on the outside, and he scores. He also had a sack in this game, a couple nice tackles. He almost had a second interception as well. This guy, and they said it on the broadcast, I don't think I'm being a homer here. If he's not the best slot corner in the NFL, he's certainly among the top 2 to 3. Impactful player, and you see the difference in this Bills defense when he plays as opposed to when he doesn't, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a hell of a talent, and he's been that way for the last couple of years. And, give Sean McDermott credit. Like, Taron Johnson's not like a top 5 pick or 10 pick or anything like that. First round, nothing. He's like in the middle of the rounds. They found him. They've developed him. They've developed fourth round. They've developed, and they've developed a lot of defensive backs. That's probably the one position on this team where they've just put people in there and it works. For the secondary. And it doesn't matter who's back there, whether it's Trey White or whether it's, throwing a different cornerback. But, Taron's is a fun player to watch. He's he's a little bit like the cornerback version of Jordan Poyer in a way. You know what I mean? Like a physical presence. He can make some tackles in the backfield. He get a sack like he did today. And
known for the ball.
Known for the ball. Yeah. He's a great, he makes that they got some good players in that defensive backfield, but yeah, he's definitely up there. And, you don't really get too much, nickel, with nickel, slot. Usually it's like the outside guys get more of the credit, the, pageantry, whatever, not the middle guy, not the nickel guy, but he does, and he deserves it. But he was exceptional today. And, he has to just stay healthy and we'll be good to go.
That's the thing though, man, the way these guys play him, Terrell Bernard, you hold your breath every time you see contact, with them. Kind of gives me hope a little bit here. And I'm not shitting on Dorian Williams because I thought Dorian Williams was pretty good today. And I think as a whole, he's had some bad moments. He's got him beat. But as a whole, I think Dorian Williams has held up, I should say, reasonably too well, replacing Matt Milano. But you see the difference with Taron Johnson in the lineup as opposed to Cam Lewis.
Yeah.
It makes me think that if Matt Milano is back and he gets back to what he was pre-injury, the upgrade that he's going to bring to this team over Dorian Williams, who again has played pretty well, but now you're talking about an all-pro caliber player playing linebacker, just like with Taron Johnson in the lineup, is just so much more different than Cam Lewis. You agree that with Matt Milano getting back kind of gives you those vibes a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still questioning if he's going to be 100% or what's he going to be. He hasn't, he's played 5 games in the last, 2 seasons basically. And I'm worried about, I've been kind of worried about him because he's on the wrong side of 30, Matt Milano. And I don't know how much is left in that tank, especially if he has injury concerns. But yeah, like if they get him like save him up for like bring him on week 16, 17, like get him like a couple weeks in and then save him for the playoffs. Cause I don't need him to come back. Like they're 8-2 right now. Like they're good. They're going to win the division. Like you said, even if they go 2-2 the next, 4 games, which are going to be difficult, like save him. Cause like, I don't need him getting hurt, like coming week 14 and then he gets hurt week 17. Cause I am concerned about his health, but yes, he's a big part of their defense. We know that. And it would be fun because, like you said, Williams has been meh, back there, and you want your stud defensive line, your defensive player back there. He's one of their best. He's one of their best defensive players. You want him back there. But
let me backtrack a little bit. I had this thought in my head, and then I'm an idiot, and I can't. If I don't get it out, I forget about it. But when we were talking about the AFC East basically being over. One of the advantages, I think, to this, because you said, right now you're just getting ready for the playoffs. The division is won. I think one thing when it comes to the Bills personnel that, especially if they were to lose, say if they lose on Sunday against Kansas City, if they lose on Sunday, the 1 seed's essentially off, not essentially, it is off the table. The Bills won't be a 1 seed if they lose this game against the Chiefs on Sunday. And I don't want them to lose. I'm just saying if they do, that's, off the table. They're worried about getting the best record in seeding. They're not trying to not win. But I think one huge advantage of putting a wrap on the AFC East right now is that when you get guys like Amari Cooper, like if this would have been a late December game, maybe Amari Cooper, and I don't know this, but maybe Amari Cooper plays in this game. You know what I mean? Like Keon Coleman wasn't playing no matter what, but maybe Amari Cooper was close and the Bills have just decided, because Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane going into the season saying we want to win the division. Winning the division gets you in the playoffs, get you a home game. Obviously, that matters. But if you got that at lock already, then guys like who are getting injured, like I said, Cooper, Coleman, you have the luxury of taking your time and not forcing them into the lineup because Miami's not a game back on your heels. You know what I mean? The Jets aren't right there tied with you. You got a commanding lead. So when guys go down, we'll see what happens with Dalton Kincaid, who got banged up this week. I think you have you're afforded the luxury of playing it safe with these injuries because the Bills are just dominating this division, right?
Yeah, I mean, are you asking if they should if they saving these guys up, and resting them?
If it's close, sure. If it's close, and you don't want to risk permanent injury, but again, if you have a team right on your heels, then I don't think you have that luxury. If they're even close, you got to get them out there. But Sean likes to be kind of conservative with getting guys back on the field anyway. And I think having such a commanding lead in the division, at least this year, has something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for him to be a little bit more, cautious about it. And, maybe he's saving them for next week, with the Chiefs coming to town. And he wants those guys for those big games. But yeah, you definitely, worst case scenario, the Bills win the division. Let's just say they finish, I don't fucking know, 10-7. 11-6 or something. Yeah, they're the 4th seed, but they get the home game, and then the divisional game comes up later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You play on the road, and it's not that big. I don't think playing on the road is that big of a deal. Then maybe you feel. I mean, yeah, would I like them to play at home? Sure, but yeah, you want to rest your guys, and why force them back and get them to re-injured? I mean, it stinks.
I think home's more important this year than it's been in other years because of the style of offense. I think you were 100% right because we've been talking about this now for years, you and I.
Yeah.
You've said this. You'd rather the Bills, say if they're going to play Houston in the playoffs, you'd rather play Houston on the road than play them at home. That's kind of been your stance over the last few years. A team I'm just trying to think. That's probably the only really good warm weather team right now would be Houston. Maybe the Chargers. I don't see that. That's not going to happen because they're not going to win their division. But your stance has been, I'd rather be on the road where the weather's
when they were
good.
when they were a passing juggernaut,
right,
which they're not. I don't think they are.
They're not. They're a more physical team now.
They mix it up. Yes, it does make sense to be in a little bit more of a colder weather place like home. But you still, when you get in those playoffs, though, you're going against better offense. You're going against better passing teams where you're going to have to match them a little bit in that regard. So,
agreed.
But yeah, I mean, it's the injury thing, the situation. It's really annoying for the offense for me, and I'm not, they haven't had their wide receiver room just keeps getting banged up, and it's like Kincaid's hurt now, and we don't know when he's coming back or whatever the case may be, and it's like I don't even know. Maybe this is a passing offense, but they can't be a passing offense when they're losing their two two of the three top, wide receivers.
Yeah.
And they're not getting chemistry at all, really, with Amari Cooper. He gets hurt, and then he had a good debut, and then he doesn't do anything against the Seahawks and gets hurt, and then he's been gone. So it's kind of frustrating, to not know their identity for the most part.
You know what's funny is the mantra has been everybody eats with the offense this season, and to some extent they did that today. And I want to talk about that in a second. But back to the defense here. I'll tell you what, dude, it was everybody eats with the defense on Sunday because, again, Taron Johnson, he ate the most. He had the biggest play of the game, but Austin Johnson had an interception. Taylor Rapp had a nice, reactionary interception on a bad pass that was tipped by Colts receiver Alec Pierce. Groot had a strip sack. Von Miller actually played really well. And I think when a lot of people go back and watch the tape, some people will say, well, he didn't have a sack or anything, but he had 3 pressures. He had a big stop in the run on a 3rd and 2, which led to a 4th down stop. Christian Benford was sound as hell. Damar Hamlin got beat bad, a terrible angle, and then he showed his lack of athleticism once he makes that mistake. That aside, I thought he played another good game, and he had a fumble recovery. Quentin Jefferson, in his first game back with the Bills, had a sack. 6 different dudes on this team had a tackle for a loss in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of funny, man. Aside from Rasul Douglas, I don't want to get into it. I think he had kind of a little bit of a rough day, but him aside, this was everybody eats on the defense. It was like everyone, AJ Vanessa had a sack. Everyone on the defense was eating in Indianapolis. So it was kind of fun to watch, I guess, from a defensive standpoint anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with Rousseau. I mean, I've been impressed with him all year. And that guy's about to get paid, by someone. Yeah. Hopefully it's the Bills. But he's been really good this year. I mean, his strip sack of Flacco was great. Good effort by him to, knock them to put the ball out. But again, it's, and I'll give them credit, they adjusted with Taylor. I have nightmares because I spoke about this a couple weeks ago when the Colts ruined my bachelor party, and Taylor had freaking 200 yards in that game.
About that 4 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, he was awesome in that game. He ruined it all, and then it felt that way. Had 100 yards in the first half, and then they shut him down, like you said, in the second half, and
7 yards on 5 carries in the second half.
Well, that's the one thing too. They only gave him the ball 5 times in the second half. I mean, I know they weren't really down that much. They were down by 10 in the fourth quarter, and then
that's the most. Yeah.
That was they kind of just abandoned it a little bit, and they got a little bit too cutesy with Flacco.
Well, I think the Bills started selling out against the run a little bit more, too, in the second half. Yeah, they were bringing guys more up in the box. They weren't going to get chewed up by Taylor. Yeah, he had 103 yards in the first half, Joe, but 58 of them were on one run. I mean, it was a hell of a run. But,
still, but it was, but, it's, I don't know how much you can give a lot of credit to the defense versus, okay, hey, it's the Colts. They're shitty. Their offense is kind of a little bit of it's not impressive. Joe Flacco doesn't look good. And look, is it because
they were without their best receiver too? Michael Pittman Jr. didn't play. Their left tackle got hurt in the first. Stud left tackle got hurt in the first quarter. So they were they were lacking some.
I've been skeptical about the defense at times this year, or even for the last 5 years, because I always have said, when it comes against crappy offenses, they're awesome, but when they go against better offenses, they're in trouble sometimes. And this podcast, I know it's a post game show, but those next 4 games are against, in my opinion, pretty good offenses. Sure. And that's where we're going to see how good this defense is, and let's see how much everyone eats, or whatever you want to call it. But today, look, they had a lot of pressure on Flacco. They forced him in, what was it, 3 turnovers, 4, whatever it was. And
four turnovers.
And,
and they also had a 4th down stop, which to me, essentially, when it's 4th and 2, when you make a stop, that's a turnover in my book, unofficial. But, well, look, I'm looking at the Bills' schedule right now, and I think they've played some pretty good offenses and have just played well in some of the games. Arizona looks like a juggernaut right now. I mean, they smacked Miami. They got a winning record. They were
smack them. They beat them by a point, dude. That's smack them.
Arizona
beat Miami by 1 point, dude.
No, Arizona smacked the Jets today.
Okay, well, you said smack Miami. Okay, it's my bad.
No,
yes,
Arizona smacked the Jets. My fault, not Miami. They smacked the Jets today, 31-6. They got a winning record.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Bills' defense played well against them. They shut Miami down with Tua. Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and they played terrible in Baltimore. They played terrible for a half in Houston, and then they came on in the second half. They won in New York against the Jets on Monday night. Tennessee, weak-ass offense. I'll give you that for sure. Seattle, no DK Metcalf, but still, Seattle's offense is Geno Smith was leading the NFL in passing yards coming into that game. Miami again with Tua, and then Indy. This was probably the second worst offense, I think, on paper the Bills played this year. Tennessee's probably the worst offense, and then Miami is the second, or not Miami, Indianapolis, the second worst offense, I think, that they've played this year. But still, man, this was a
the defense. I mean,
they give up plays. Like Indy had like 5 plays of explosive plays in the first half, but who cares? If you're going to get turnovers, none of that matters. So I guess that's what it comes down to.
My concern is a little bit, again, I don't know if I want to say a slow start today. It was a sluggish start, on both sides of the ball. I felt a little bit like even the Colts, they were kind of like, look, you give up 100 yards to Taylor. I get it. A lot of it, like you said, was on that big play, but I don't know why they're doing this with these weird, wacky first halves, and then all of a sudden in the second half they clamp it down defensively. They did it the same with the offense. I felt, even though they only scored 10 points in the second half, it felt like like that last drive they had. It ate up a lot of time. That 90, I think it was like 90 something.
The Bills.
Yeah, because they held the ball a lot in that last drive.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, it just was a slow start for them, kind of in a way. Aside from the Taron pick, it was kind of a slow start for them until like the last
first 2 drives. Yeah, Indy do an interception on their first 2 drives, and they had a field goal drive, a long field goal drive. Which, by the way, Dorian Williams, I should mention him. I said everyone eats on the defense. When Damar got beat on that angle and Taylor took off, Rapp slowed him down, but Williams hustle saved the touchdown because they tackled him and they ended up holding to a field goal. And then the Colts did have a nice long touchdown drive. At that point, they tied it up 10-10. And then they had another drive where it was a short drive, though. It was after that ugly-ass Josh interception, the first of his 2 picks. And they took their only lead of the game at 13-10. From there on, though, until the garbage time touchdown, I thought the Bills' defense was really good. To your point, though, sure, they're going to get tested big time in the next 4 games here in a row. So maybe we'll learn a little bit more about that defense. But you play who you got in front of you. And the offense, which has struggled even against bad defenses, and they did some today, the defense definitely stepped up. Here's what I do. I'm going to take a real quick break. On the audio side, be back in about 90 seconds. On the video side, going to be back literally in 4 seconds. And we're going to get into this offense, which, again, I think messy is the word of the day for the Bills offense. All right, I'm back here with Joe from Queens, and we are going over our instant live reactions. The Buffalo Bills are now 8-2 on the season, a 10-point win, which essentially was a 17-point win. Garbage time touchdown, literally with 2 seconds left in the game for the Colts to make the score look closer, and also make anyone who bet the under lose that game in the last 2 seconds. You're not, we don't talk about this often. You're not a gambler, really. You don't bet a lot on games, FanDuel, stuff like that. Me neither. I don't even have the app on my phone. I don't want to be tempted. I don't enjoy games as much when I'm betting on them. It's just not fun for me.
Yeah, it's not my jam. I think I bet it once when I was like 19 and I hated it because even though I won, I was nervous the whole time. It wasn't fun for me. And I know all my friends, like I'm on text threads are like, "Oh, are you betting tonight's game on fucking FanDuel or whatever?" I'm like, "All right, good for you. I'm not doing any of that shit." No.
Dude, I say it all the time. I could go out if we went out to a Resurgence and I dropped $80, $90 at a bar tab. The next day, I'd be like, well, whatever, man. We went out, we had some beers, we had some laughs, we had some fun. I'm fine with that. But if I go to the casino and drop $60, let alone $600, like some of these crazies out there do all the time, I would lose my mind. I would be so disgusted with myself. The thought of losing $60 in a slot machine makes me physically sick.
Because you don't even enjoy it. Like I don't even enjoy it how I'm winning. Like I'm not even enjoying it. I'm like, I can't lose. I'm just like, I'm choking. I'm like Sean McDermott with 13 seconds left. I'm not enjoying that. No, I'm just kidding. But
you're right. So look, with the offense, again, I said it before the break. I think it was a mostly messy day for them. But let's start with actually giving them a little bit of credit. You kind of alluded to that long drive. So the Colts are down 10. They're moving the ball. If they score, there was still 9.5 minutes left in the game. And if they score It's a one-score game. They got all the momentum at home. But Joe Flacco overthrows Alec Pierce, and Taylor Rapp makes a really good quick reaction, comes down with the ball, and the Bills take over at their own 16-yard line. They went on for a 16-play, 84-yard drive. They took 6 minutes, 42 seconds off the clock. They go up 3 scores, and it's a wrap. On that drive, they converted a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 4, a 3rd and 8. They had a 2nd and 19 on that drive and ended up converting on that as well. Josh Allen made a few mistakes, a couple bad throws, decisions, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But that one drive was the one that, it was a redemption drive because the offense did not play up to the same level for most of this game that the defense did. But to put together, again, a 16-play, 84-yard nail-in-the-coffin type drive, little bit of redemption, and probably the first time the whole game where you really felt comfortable, like this game's over, right?
Yeah, no, that was a great drive by them. I mean, they mixed it up in terms of the pass and the run. They really showed their moxie, I would say, in terms of that. And Josh Allen was, it wasn't his best game, but like when they needed a 3rd down, they got it from him, especially on the, he was really good on the run, on the ground today, tied OJ Simpson for, second all time, right? Yeah, second all time for rushing touchdowns.
57 rushing touchdowns.
As someone,
Herman's got 65. He's going to catch him probably not this year, but next year he'll catch.
We'll see. But as someone said on Twitter, I think it was yards per pass. He said someone caught OJ finally, and I was dying. That's a funny joke, but yeah, I mean, I thought that was a big drive. The end of the first half was big. With them getting the touchdown, and then the Colts then were like, they punted, and then it's like one of those weird. I
was just like running the clock out, and then the Bills and then the Colts start using timeouts. The Bills had a penalty or something like that. I'm like, all right, just get to the locker room. But then they get a couple first downs, and then that big play, Josh Allen, 40-some yard pass to Mac Hollins, who we'll talk about in a minute here. Next thing you know, they got points going into the half.
Yeah, but
I was worried about getting double dipped on up until that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they got those 10 points in like the last 5 minutes of that half, and then they had the nail in the coffin drive. But I wasn't too worried about this game. I mean, I picked it close. I had my score thread. I had the Bills winning 20-17, which I just kind of I had like I was concerned about the injuries on the wide receivers, but Josh Allen did enough. They ran the ball well today, and if you can help Josh Allen a little bit, and that's what I think. I've talked about this before this year, that a bunch of times this year. Like the biggest difference between this year and like the years past is like Josh Allen has help with the running game, whereas he really didn't before.
Cook was good.
James Cook was great. I mean, he's a physical, like he is a good running back. They're gonna have a big. He's a free agent. I'm going a little ahead of myself, but he's a free agent after next season. Like you got to wonder, like what are they going to do? Like, do you want to re-sign him, or do you want to just let him walk and just go, hey, well, it's the system? Because I mean, I'm not for paying running backs, but he's making it hard a little bit to do that, to say for me to let him go.
Doesn't he look different to you this year than last year? Like more physical. You saw physical. One, he got hit hard, but he did not get he got hit with the shoulder. The guy didn't wrap, and he bounced off it. He ended up getting like a 13-yard run in this game.
Yeah.
His vision to see the outside on that last touchdown. But the physicality, the running through the holes and breaking tackles, I feel like we didn't see that last year. Nowhere near as much as we're seeing it this year. Like he's getting you those tough, grimy yards, which I don't think that was really in James Cook. I think that was in his wheelhouse coming in the league.
I felt his wheelhouse coming into the league was he was a home run guy. And that was what he was supposed to do. But like he's up between the tackles guy. He's definitely breaking tackles a lot, and he's a physical back. And they have guys that Ty Johnson helped a little bit today in the passing game. And they're getting some good production out of their running backs. I mean, it's been like probably the most consistent group maybe between like the wide receivers, tight ends. If you're just looking at like who's been our most consistent guys on offense, it's been the running backs. Like they've really have done well this year, whether it's one of the three, and then a lot of games they come in together and they do pretty well. But
I every time I think Ray Davis, I'm like, I want to see a lot more Ray Davis. And James Cook goes and has a game like this. I'm like, There's a reason why James Cook is your RB1 right now. All right, so Josh Allen, Joe, this was a weird game because he threw 2 interceptions, and they were both bad interceptions. And he also missed a wide open Dalton Kincaid on the right sideline in the second quarter, which would have been a touchdown. The Bills end up having a punt, I think. They didn't come away with anything. They punted.
No, they went for it on 4th down, and they tried to complete.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Curtis Samuel. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. My bad. You're right. But they came away with nothing. Indy scored that touchdown drive. It felt to me like a 14-point swing. It's weird because at times I'm like, this felt like Houston Josh Allen, because I think Houston was the one game coming into the season or this week where Josh just flat out played bad. He was bad in Houston. Injuries were a factor. No, who didn't play that game? I can't remember. Khalil Shakir didn't play that game. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he was bad that game, and it felt like at times he was really bad in this game, but he had made a couple really good plays with his legs. Again, that ridiculous throw down the field to Mac Hollins, that perfect pass that he threaded to Dawson Knox. I don't know if Colleen's watching the show, but I'm sure she was very happy to see Dawson Knox reel in a beautiful 34-yard pass from him. So he made some plays, and then you look at the stats. He's like, all right, well, Josh kind of sucked. Well, you still had 280 yards passing and 50 yards rushing, so he still had a 330-yard total offense of game. It was a weird game for Josh Allen, but definitely messy. Like, you can't be throwing those interceptions against the Chiefs or the 49ers or the Lions. You're probably not going to get away with it. I don't know. What were your thoughts on Josh today?
I thought Josh was he had a flat start to this game, but for the most part, I felt he brought it in the second half, and towards the second quarter on he did, and the Mac Hollins catch was great.
By the way, you're keep talking.
I'm frozen.
You sound fine, but on the video side, you're frozen. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna try something here, but it's no, it didn't work either. But yeah, he threw a really, like, the Mac Hollins throw was just amazing. Like, that's just Allen at his best, when he just is one of those guys who he just impromptu, and it was a highlight. Like, you saw that and you thought he was gonna throw it out of bounds, and instead he didn't. So yeah, it was a hell of a throw by him. But look, I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pass. Like, he didn't have his 2 wide receivers there in Coleman or any of those guys, and it was he has to make there's a lot more pressure on him for those types of games.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm seeing you there again.
Yeah, I'm like, my eyes are sleeping right now.
Should I torture you and should I torture you and
yeah,
leave you
just leave me
we'll leave you like that eventually.
Yeah, I look like Rocky. Like, cut me, Mick, cut me, Mick. I'm trying to figure out how to undo this shit. Oh man, love technology, dude. But
Michael Partham says, Allen nearly had an interception goal for a pick 6. Kenny Moore, yes, leave it like that for a little bit. See how.
I can be Bruce exclusive. I like this better. I like my little pump thing. All right.
Yeah, this is a Bruce exclusive.
This is Bruce exclusive here. I like it. I like it.
To Michael's point too, we're describing Josh's game, and Michael's right. That could have been a pick 6. Kenny Moore, if he stays in bounds, keeps his footing, that might have ended up being a pick 6. Masviz says today's victory feels good, but I'm still on cloud 9 after Tuesday's blowout. How you feeling, Joe? What's Tuesday's blowout? Are you talking about hockey? Tuesday's blowout.
Oh, I hope he's not talking about the election. That's what he's talking about. Yeah,
we're
not talking about that. We're not doing that. Wrong podcast.
The Sabres won 5-1. Let's pretend that he's talking.
Yeah, he's talking about that. Yeah, it was a good blowout there. Yeah, thanks for that, Ms. or whatever.
You brought up a very fair point too. That it is worth saying. No Amari Cooper, no Keon Coleman. That's big. I thought early on Curtis Samuel was involved in the game, and he did a couple good things early, but he also just threw, he forced a couple passes into Samuel. He had 8 targets in the game, only 4 catches. I know at least one of those interceptions were for Samuel. The 4th down failed conversion was to Samuel. Also, I remember it was the second drive. Curtis Samuel, he tried to force a pass into him when Khalil Shakir was there in the middle of the field. That's when the Bills ended up with the field goal on their second drive to take a 10-0 lead. So, look, mistakes, but it does matter who doesn't play. And guys stepped up. 5 guys, Joe, 5 guys on the team had receptions of at least 15 yards. 3 of them had over 30. You mentioned Ty Johnson. He had a big third down catch that he held on to. And then the cat hater, as you like to call him every week, Matt Collins, dude. Let's talk about Matt Collins here. 4 catches for 86 yards, including 2 huge catches. Both of them actually on that same drive, which led to Bills points at the end of the half. I said on Twitter after the game, this dude should get a game ball and a complimentary set of wings at Barbell. He should be able to walk around town barefoot if that's what he wants to do. He stepped up. Matt Collins stepped up big time. He's
all right. Yeah,
he's been a good signing for a bottom of the depth chart receiver, Joe. But he's been pretty damn good, minus the Houston game.
All right. I'll give the cat hater his due. Okay, congrats. He's got more than 9 lives. He was good today, and he on that pass I talked about, he did his job, and he got open and good for him. I think. Hey, when I hate to sound cliche like Sean McDermott, but when your number's called, you gotta make plays, and he did today, and he's been an okay pickup. Do I want to see him every week? In the top 3 wide receivers? No, but he did his thing today, and he did. He's been their bright spot on free agency for the wide receivers. Can I just ask you this? Sure. Where the heck did MVS come from today? You saw his numbers with the Saints?
3 catches, 109 yards.
Where was this? Where was this? First half, what he likes Derek Carr, or whatever the car it is, or
Derek Carr,
whatever, what is this about? Weird. I don't know. That was kind of weird to see that, but anyway, how he was good today, and he's been.
I think he was. So when the Bills signed Trent Sherfield last year, he's your wide receiver 4 and a good special teams player. I think what you're seeing from Matt Collins is what Brandon Beane was hoping to see from Trent Sherfield last year. He's been good. Not great, but he's been much better than Hardy or
yes, you're absolutely 100%. He's been much better than those guys have been, and I give him credit. But I wish he would like cats more. I don't know what's up with that, and fine with the feet.
You're not gonna let that one go.
No, I'm not letting that go. But I thought Shakir had a good game today. He's just I wish I could grab I could figure out who Shakir reminds me of.
He's just so trustworthy. He's so trustworthy. You just trust him to make a play. You put that football near him, he's making that catch 9.5 times.
Yeah,
he's just making you miss too.
He makes you miss. I was thinking of Josh Reed, but better than Josh Reed. What Josh Reed was supposed to be when he was here, in the 2000s, a good run after the catch guy who's physical and kind of smallish. He's deceivingly small, but he can bounce off tackles very easily. He's a little bit of maybe a little bit of Steve Smith a little bit from the Panthers, a little bit like that. Kind of he can make some guys miss, but he's smallish and he's kind of a tough guy too, a little bit with that sort of playmaking abilities. But he's been great. He leads the NFL, dude, in yards after catch, and he's probably still going to be after today. He had a 30-yard run after a catch near the line of scrimmage. Tyler Lockett type. That's what I hear a lot of comparisons to. A Tyler Lockett type. He's just so dependable, man. Now Dalton Kincaid goes down. We don't know the extent. So it looked like he was going to be done, but then he comes back out. He played a couple snaps, and then he was done. Now, was this precautionary? Again, the Bills are saying, all right, listen, Sean's like, get him out of there. We're playing the Colts. We're 7-2. Got the Chiefs coming up. We're already down 2 receivers. Do we want to take a chance where his knee injury could get worse and now he's out a month? So it could be, and we don't know this, you hope that it was more precautionary as opposed to, he tried to play and it just re-aggravated it and couldn't go. We'll see what that. I mean, you also have depth there. If Dawson Knox is playing every snap at tight end, you might feel pretty good about that, or it's not that could add to it as to why they kept him out. Because it's hey, we have him. So
Ralph Wilson Sr. says, didn't Josh Reed have the one black eye like Bash used to? Yes, he did, actually.
Did he? Oh, gosh, yeah. Josh Reed had that one good year. His rookie year, he was really great, and they wanted him to be the number 2 guy, and he never could be the number 2 guy. Anyway, that's their Bills history.
Yeah, for sure. Sale says Allen had an off game, but still carried them to a win. I think that's fair. I think he was off. I think he played bad at times, but Again,
I thought I thought it was just the first quarter. Like, really, honestly, it was like that first quarter.
and
a
then
little
the
bit.
one throw in the third, though. The one that
Yeah,
interception to Kenny Moore. Right after the, what was it? The Austin, no, it wasn't the Austin Johnson interception. Was it? Was it the Austin Johnson interception? It was either that or the fumble recovery. The Bills just gave it right back.
For people who like historical stats like me, like Allen in the last 2 games against the Colts, he's got 4 interceptions, 0 touchdown passes. Because I was at the bachelor party game, and he was not good in that game, and he had no touchdowns today either. 4 interceptions. Yeah. I don't know what's up with that, but anyways.
JJ94 says, very impressive win today. Felt like the Bills were due for a silly loss. That's a good take and a good point. The Bills did feel due for a clunker, and I was very concerned about that today. Anyway, he says, defense balled and made plays. Offense overcame the injuries and some poor decisions from Josh. Love to see Josh run. Thanks, JJ94. I actually think that's a great take. It was concerning that the Bills would come in and have a stinker. It felt like that was set up to be that way. You got, a trap game, so to speak, with the Chiefs coming up next, but that was not the case at all. Real quick here, Sean McDermott, you got to give him some credit for being ultra aggressive, going for it like on 4th and inches, like your own 29-yard line. He's done that. He has a lot of confidence in Josh Allen to get that tush push for that half yard to a yard, and they're going for it. It don't matter if it's on the opponent's 30 or their own 30. I dig that vibe from Sean McDermott. I think that resonates with the players too.
Yeah, I mean, he does that on occasion, but sometimes then he clams up on the weirder occasions. Like he's
sure.
But yes, you're right. If it's like 4th and 1, he's gonna go for it because he has that much confidence in doing the Josh Allen push, and you should. Josh Allen's a fucking Buick, and you can just lumber him over, and he just has to fall. So yeah, I give him credit for that in terms of being aggressive. But yeah, hey, again, it was a good game. It could have been a trap game. I did like Josh Allen running the football a lot today. I feel like, you kind of say, he hasn't done that much this year, I feel like, because, we talked about before, like maybe it's because of the hand or, you can even go back to last year in the offseason. They wanted him to do it less. But I feel like they're saving that where like now it's like, all right, like, it's still November, but like, I think as the season wears on, and it gets colder, and you got defenses that have to battle in the elements and all that crap. No one wants to tackle that guy, in terms of you got to run after him. He's a bruising running back. He's not. It's like, oh, I got to bounce off this freaking guy, and it's going to be tougher. But I think they'll use him a little bit more as the season goes on.
Sankey Chandler said it's safe to say Hollins is the best receiver on this team active. He's absolutely not. He might be the second best receiver active. That's definitely.
Yeah, Shakir's. It's Shakir one. Yeah.
Maybe you think of Shakir as a slot guy, and it doesn't even count. Kind of like corners. Like Taron Johnson's a corner, but when I think of corners, I think of Benford and I think of Rasul Douglas. It's just because Taron's in the slot all the time. It looks like he's a linebacker. So maybe that's where I'm trying to defend my guy right here who made that comment, because that's the only reason I could possibly come up with there. I kind of had one other point too. God, I'm getting so forgetful, man, in my old age, man. I had a point about this game that I wanted to make, and I don't know. It escapes me.
You could save it for your film review, bro. Podcast.
I think Von Miller, when we watch the film back, is going to look really good. Again, he didn't have a sack, but he had 3 pressures. He drew a penalty. He's looked good now for 2 straight weeks against the run. For a lot of people out there who might not think that, him coming back from that suspension matters, I would beg to disagree. I think Von Miller had a pretty good game as well.
Did your boy Ed Oliver have a good game, you think?
I have to go back and watch it. I know he was more active. I think he only had 1 tackle, but not all 1 tackle games are created equal for defensive tackles. I thought he was better first glance. Again, we'll see on Monday.
Film bro Moran.
Well, no, but I mean, I just like to watch the game. It's not even about film bro. But yeah, man, I just didn't think he played bad. I just thought he was ineffective last week. He played better this week. Quentin Jefferson, again, just with the team, had a sack. Jordan Phillips talking his shit. I'll give him that much. In fact, I put up a clip I saw. It was the Josh Allen 44-yard pass to Matt Collins. And when he goes out of bounds, Jordan Phillips is right there on the sidelines. He's talking some mad shit to Zaire Franklin, the linebacker from Indy. By the way, that number 54, should he get a fine throwing punches at Josh's
Oh my
face?
God. Yeah, that was
That was
some
pretty
bullshit.
blatant, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was some bullshit. Like you're not going for the ball. You're literally just knocking his helmet off. But yeah, he should definitely get fined.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell the referees missed that, but chalk up another what the hell with the refs during that sequence. But yeah, he should definitely get fined.
I did tweet before the game that I thought a key for the Bills was going to be twofold. It would be Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones really playing well up front to limit the Colts running game and to put some pressure on Flacco. And then I also said Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin in the back being more active were key. I'll say this. Again, Ed Oliver played fine and really didn't see much from Daquan Jones. I thought the safeties played well. Taylor Rapp played well. Damar Hamlin, again, he had one mistake and he paid a price for it, a big price. I mean, he took a bad angle and then he just doesn't have the speed. He looks slow when if he gets in an open field race, he looks slow. Like Dorian Williams kind of like blew past him to make that tackle on Taylor. But that aside, again, I think Damar Hamlin, like almost for the last month now, is played pretty damn well. And he's been in the right place in the right time. At some point, I make fun of those 2 interceptions being gifts, and they were, but he's in the right place in the right time because that ball is on the ground. He's on a blitz. Groot knocks strip sack, and Damar Hamlin's there to fall on the football. So
yeah, I
good on him.
I wasn't here during your Damar Hamlin takedown or whatever the hell you want to call it. I won't bust your balls too much on that, but
fine. It's everyone.
Everyone's got it. I was all good. No, he's I don't want to say nose for the ball, but he's at the right place at the right time. Like that's kind of like, when he makes plays at the right place at the right time. And, he's a guy that, when you don't notice him, it's good in a way, and sometimes like you get him in turnovers and that's where he gets. But, I did not think I have to give him credit. Like he has not been a giant, like, oh my God, like, at times he struggled, but I did not think he was going to win the starting job going back to training camp. I thought it was going to be the guy that got from the Chiefs who they cut. And, I thought, oh, Hamlin's going to be on there, but they kept him and he won the job, I guess you want to call it. The other guy just gave up because he never played. But, he's been a nice part to their defensive backfield. And again, when you have other guys back there, like cornerback or like secondary play is really a cohesive unit. Where if you have other guys who can make you look good, and then that's really a big part of it. You're not by yourself. And he has guys. He has, Johnson. He's got Douglas. He's got Benford. He's got guys back there that can help each other out. In terms of that, and I think it helps him out. And Taylor Rapp has been good this year. Like and those are 2 guys who like hardly played last year at all. Like Rapp didn't get on the field. He was a backup, and Hamlin was a healthy scratch. And then they put those 2 guys in. And again, like I'll give Sean McDermott his flowers, man. That the defensive coaches, the defensive back coaches, they have done a great job with that secondary. Now, in terms of what's coming up, we're going to really see how good that secondary is going to be because they got some passers coming in. And now we're going to see like really, because that's when we're really going to see how good they are with the defense.
I've been thinking a lot lately about Micah Hyde, and I think the window, if the Bills are going to sign Micah Hyde, if he's going to play with this team, you're going to know in the next, say, 8 days. We'll start the clock on Monday. We'll know by next Monday. My mindset is this. If you were to sign Micah Hyde this week, say you signed him to the practice squad originally, okay? You got maybe a practice this week, and then you got a bye, and then you got a week of preparation before Frisco. There's plenty of time to get him, conditioning up to speed, and he'd be able to play. I also wonder, though, you're 8-2 right now, and Damar Hamlin is, again, he's gotten 3 turnovers for this season, and he's had a couple mistakes, like I could think of 2, the Derrick Henry run and this run where he was largely responsible, but you take those away, do you mess with the formula of a team that's 8-2 and getting him off the field? We could think what we want about Damar Hamlin as a football player, but I'd be willing to bet that team loves him and they want him out there, and he's not giving you a reason to really bench him. I'm not sure that Micah Hyde is going to be back. Now, to your point, playing the Chiefs on Sunday, Maybe if Micah or not Micah, if Damar Hamlin gets scorched, he has a terrible game against the Chiefs, then you call Micah high maybe on Monday. So I think Damar still might have one more test left to pass. And if he gets past this week unscathed, then I think it's his spot the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I have not been big on Micah Hyde coming back like you have, or the possibility of it. I just haven't. I haven't gotten there at all. I just think it's over. In terms.
It could
of that.
be. You could be very much right. This could be media and fan generated speculation.
Yeah, like it just.
And maybe
he
just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he doesn't want to play anymore, and he's kept his options open in case something fell into his lap. But if I were,
I just feel like I
just
feel like he would have been back by now. Like, come on, like when you think about training camp and like safety was a thin ass position, and you have to feel better about it now than you did in August.
100%.
He's not coming back unless everyone dies. And everyone everyone gets hurt and it's over, and it's like we're converting.
Yeah,
Matt Milano to safety. Yeah, it's
he might be a break glass in case of emergency guy. Like if you gotta, like right now on their practice squad, they got Lewis Sign and Karam Jackson. Maybe if it was down to Micah and one of those two guys having to come up and play, maybe. But short of Damar Hamlin looking like a train wreck against the Chiefs offense, which is possible, yeah, I think the Micah Hyde stuff comes to rest after this. Couple quick comments here, then we'll widen this down. Phil Mooney says, hashtag film bro Moran.
Yeah,
don't put me in that. Come on,
yes,
Phil.
your film bro Moran. I love it.
Here's a good take from John Sanders. He said Tyler Bass is 9 for 9 on field goals in the last 4 games, 12 for 13 on extra points. I hope his mind is right again. I'll tell you what, Joe, I don't know about you.
Yeah, he looked
this
good.
was the first game today. I felt calm. Like every kick he's made this season almost, I've kind of been like cringy. Like my muscles get tight when he's about to kick the football. For whatever reason, I felt calm today. I don't know if it was because of what he did last week in a dome this week, but it felt good. Like his kicks, there was no one that just snuck through either. They were good kicks. He made that 48-yard extra point, which was, big after the Spencer Brown bullshit call against him on the Josh Allen touchdown run. But yeah, man, I felt good about Tyler Bass today. Felt confident about him. By the way, props to Sam Martin, too. 2 punts, like a 54.5 average. He drilled that 160-yarder or whatever it was inside the 3-yard line. A great game for the kicker and the punter. Not so much the returner. Codrington fumbled, got lucky there. But, hey, good special teams game for the Bills. And then last comment here from Chris Shea says, a win is a win. Let's go, Buffalo. Look, that's true. Again, I was concerned about a letdown game, a trap game, whatever you want to call it. It's not easy to win on the road against anybody in the NFL. And the Bills just keep handling their business, winning the games they're supposed to. They're 8-2. They still play the Patriots twice. They still play the Jets at home. This could be a team that ends up 12, 13 victories relatively easy at the end of this season.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Bills, I mean, this is an eat crow season for me. Like I have to eat a lot of that. And I was super wrong about them. I thought they were rebuilding, or like, I don't know, it was gonna be a slow rebuild a little bit. And there you go, Pat. You see, people, you just saw my test, by the way. Sorry,
yep.
You saw my thing. I tested it on Twitter, so people can message in the Twitter thing because I just tested it. Anyways, I digress. Back to proving people wrong. Yes, they have proved a lot of people wrong. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Bills, and I don't know if it's a combination of, some of the teams they play. Hey, you play the teams that you're on your schedule. They have not played great teams aside from the 2 good teams that I thought, and they got whacked. At least one of them did. The other one was it was close, but it wasn't close. But I have to give them credit, and their younger guys are coming through. Shakir has been a lot better than I thought he was going to be. Cook has been better. Their rookie class has done well, and I have to give them credit for that. And, to me, I don't know what the mindset is in that locker room, but like you're playing with house money a little bit. There's not as much. I don't think there's much pressure. You tell me, do you feel there's more pressure on them this season than it has in the past, or no? Or do you think every year is going to be pressure filled, like no matter what?
Every year is going to be pressure filled. I think coming into the season, there was less pressure because they just weren't the popular pick to win this division. I think the goalposts have been moved. I got a take for you, though. And I mean this. Again, I am not a homer. I promise you that.
You're a homer.
I feel this.
Homer.
I truly feel this. I'm not saying that this team's going to go any further than they have the last handful of years. I'm not saying they're going to get past the divisional round right now. But what I will tell you, 10 games in, this season feels different to me. It feels different. There's something about Josh Allen. It's just something about the calmness. There's something about this team. They are not reliant on one or two players on either side of the ball to make a play. This feels like a team that's really enjoying the season. I don't even know if that makes much sense. Not because they weren't enjoying it the last few years. There's a calmness. There's an easy flow to Josh Allen right now, an enjoyment, a sense of enjoyment I feel like he has out there that I don't think he's had. And I'm not sitting here, and I know everyone's going to automatically say, well, it's all Stephon Diggs' fault. I'm sure that has partially to do with it, but it's not all just Stephon's fault. Some of the shit was Josh Allen's fault probably too when them two played together. But there just seems something different about this football team right now. They've overcome a lot from being, kind of written off to a lot of significant injuries so far this season. And you're 8-2. This team feels different to me right now. I don't know why, but it does. I can't really put my finger on it. Other than it looks like Josh Allen is having the most fun that he's had in his career.
They feel it's not the same core as it was in the past. There's a lot of younger guys, unknowns, like prior to this season, and Josh Allen's a veteran on this team, and like that's how much the roster has changed. When like we remember Josh Allen as a kid, 2018 over here. So, it could feel different in that sort of way, but I'm really I think we're wrapping up, but I'm really looking forward to like the next, 4 weeks. And I want to ask you this, and then because you're done with your rundown, so I can take over for 1 second and ask you a question. I don't want to go off your rundown because I know you love your rundown, and I can't go into business for myself over here. But
what's up?
Chiefs game next week. Is this a must win? Like, how do you feel about this? Or because I have like mixed feelings about, like, on one hand, the Bills have proven they could beat the Chiefs, right? They've done it in the regular season 3 straight times.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a completely different team. In my opinion, it is a much different team than it was in 2022, 2021, all these years. It's a different team. The core is different. So there's a part of me that's like, yeah, it's a different team. Like, so can you beat the Chiefs? Because there's different guys. And then the other flip side, you have like the home field advantage part, which, hey, we talked about it. Like, yeah, like you made a very valid point. The offense is different than it was in the past. So like, does that really matter? Like, in terms of like, get that home field advantage. And, I kind of agree with you on that. Like, because they run a different offense than they did in the past. But for you, Pat, is it a must win for you? Like, is this a measuring stick game? Like, do you want them? Like, how do you feel about them next week? Or is this like house money? Like, if they lose, they lose. They've proven in the past they've won against them.
I don't think it's a must win game. I think they've known they beat the Bills, they beat the Chiefs at home. They've done it now a couple times in the regular season. They won on the road a couple times, I should say, in the regular season as well. They know they could beat this team. And I don't think it's a must-win because even if the Chiefs, I think because the Chiefs are 9-0 right now. And by the way, a very lucky 9-0. Like, they should have lost again today. They get a blocked 35-yard field goal to win the game. 7 of their 9 wins this season have been one-score games. They've gotten phantom calls from referees. They've just, made a couple plays to their credit down the stretch, but they've won a lot of close games and got lucky a few times. But they're 9-0. Even if the Bills win this game, with the Bills, who they got left, at the Rams, at Detroit, Frisco, it's going to be tough to finish in a tie with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win this game, they might go undefeated. They might go 17-0. I'm looking real quick. Let me just figure this out real quick. I got to know. So the Chiefs are 9-0, and they play the Bills. Let's just say if the Chiefs get past the Bills, what they got left? At Carolina, they suck. Raiders at home, they suck. Chargers, but in Kansas City. I mean, Chargers are a good team, but again, in Kansas City,
sure.
At Cleveland, at home against Houston, at Pittsburgh. That's tough.
Pittsburgh's tough.
I just changed my mind. I'm going at that schedule and knowing that they still got the Chargers and the fact that the Chiefs have not won impressively a lot this year. You're at Pittsburgh. You still got Houston. I don't know. I still won't say a must-win game. It's an important game, but not a must-win game, because if it was a must-win game, I would say If Cooper
I
and
wouldn't
Coleman
say
are close,
when
you got to play them. But I would not play Keon Coleman or Cooper this week if they're not real close to 100%, because this game's not that important in the grand scheme of things. So I'm not rushing the guy back.
Must win was probably the wrong choice of words, but for your psyche, like if they beat them, will it be like, okay, like now we're really cooking with gas a little bit? Like will your optimism all of a sudden just completely jump in,
It's
in
already
terms
there.
of
My optimism's already there.
really? Okay. All right, good.
It is.
I would love to. Let me just. I mean, I would just love if they beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs, to me, right now, and look, I'm scared of them. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
Do you remember when New England had it was the last year of Brady and Belichick? When I don't know if you remember this, they were like 11-0, and they did it with all it was not like the prettiest 11-0 squad. They did it with they were scoring special teams touchdowns, they were scoring defensive touchdowns, and then they collapsed down the stretch. That's when they lost to the Titans in the wild card game, and that was the last Brady Belichick. And there's a part of me is hoping this is what the Chiefs are right now. They're just kind of they're on fumes, and they're winning these fluky type games, like you said. And it would be great to beat them because I'm sick of them. I don't like.
Everyone's gonna watch it.
Everyone's gonna watch
it Sunday.
CBS is going there, but on a personal level, I can't stand them. I can't stand Pat Mahomes' mom. Can't stand Austin Mahomes. I can't stand Brittany Mahomes. I can't stand the fucking kicker. That kicker is terrible. I won't even you can Google why he's terrible, since I can't talk about why he's terrible. But they're just an obnoxious, terrible team. Kelsey's fine. I mean, Taylor Swift's cool and all, but I'm sick of them too. It's just I can't stand the Chiefs. I'm over the Chiefs. I just want the Bills to just curb stomp. And I'm gonna say this right now. The talking Buffalo as I pound the table and no one can see me on the video side because I froze. I am guaranteeing the Bills win next week. Guaranteeing that they're winning next year. I'm guaranteeing it. Put it on your Twitter thing live or whatever the hell you call it. Even though no one can see me now. I'm enjoying my beer, but I think they're going to beat the Chiefs next week handily, at least by 10. I think they're going to do it next week. Yeah, wow. I feel the Chiefs are. I feel the Chiefs are due to lose. It's time. They're going to lose next.
They're
week.
Overdue to get their ass.
They're overdue. Now wait, I want everyone to be healthy though. So, but I get what you're saying. They don't have to hurry guys back and blah blah blah. Fine, but if everyone's if Amari comes back, give me one of those two wide receivers back there, and then hopefully Kincaid didn't die.
Well, it'll be Amari. I think Amari Cooper was closer to playing on Sunday than Keon Coleman was. Look, I want to win the game. I do think it's important to win the game for the psyche. This is a new team, a new leadership, new core to some extent. Sure. But also, I got to be honest with you, just the narrative. If the Bills go out at home on Sunday, and let's just say that the Chiefs win by 2 scores. The Bills are frauds. First Take, Colin Cowherd, all these dudes, McAfee maybe. It's just going to be annoying to see the Chiefs get anointed after this game. Now, if the Bills win, I also have the mindset, we've talked about this. I don't love when the Bills are the front runners. Just feels like that's when they kind of have a letdown here. I still want Of course, I want them to win. So do the 1972 Miami Dolphins. If you're a fan of that team or you're still a player who's alive on that 72 Dolphins, it's funny to hear a Dolphin rooting for the Bills. But you're a 72 Dolphins guy. This might be your best chance to make sure the Chiefs don't join you as the only other undefeated team.
Yeah, they're not going undefeated. I think they're losing. I think they're going to lose to I think they'll lose to the Steelers. The Steelers aren't, as the Steelers. I think we dumped on them a couple different times. How do you feel about them? You feel a little bit better? The Steelers, because they're playing the Chiefs later. How do you feel about them?
Oh, I feel really good about them. I think Russell Wilson has been a great fit for the Steelers. He is what I think the Jets thought Aaron Rodgers would be to the Jets offense. And they're good on defense. The Steelers, look, they beat a tough Washington team today. They're good. They're what are they? They're 8-2 now, 7-2,
7-2. But I'm saying, do you worry about them against the Bills? The Steelers do. That's what I'm saying. Because I didn't really respect them at the start of the season. I'm like, whatever, fuck them. They're not going to do much.
I think they're a different team with Russell Wilson than Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a great runner, but he also is not, he's not as accurate as Russell Wilson. He's not as quick and he doesn't go through reads like Russell. Russell Wilson is a smart quarterback. Russell Wilson was toast. He was done in Denver. I thought this guy would be out of the league, and he's kind of having a rejuvenation right now. Somebody actually, if we get to wind it down there, Chris Shea says, "Oh, Kansas City's not." Oh, hold on, we have Kansas City's number. That's not what it was. Where is? There it is. John Sanders says that's the most positive thing I've ever heard Joe say. You guaranteeing the Bills victory.
I'm guaranteeing a win, and I never do that ever. They're gonna win. I really have a good feeling about next week.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this show. Good stuff, man. Again, the Buffalo Bills, man, 8-2, 8-2, and I'll throw it up there one more time. The AFC East is over. They're 8-2.
That should be on a T-shirt. I'll give a free. That should be on a T-shirt. That standings, like whatever the final standings are, where the Bills are like 7 games possibly in the winter. I think your boy Capaccio had it to where like the earliest like a team has ever clinched was actually 2007, which if you remember that was the Patriots when they went 16-0 in the regular season or whatever, and the Bills I think were 7-9 and they won the division by 9 games. So, it would have to happen, I don't know, like next week or the week after, I think, for them to match that. Yeah.
Yep. Look, one last point here. Generally speaking, I've been I hate when Bills fans wear division champion shirts. I hate it. The first year I get it. Maybe the second year I get it. I don't need to see it. Who cares? To me, it's like, well, great. You won the division. Who cares? Your goal should be higher than that. I'll wear an AFC championship t-shirt. I'll be really pumped about that. But the 3rd and 4th division t-shirts, I'm like, I don't want those. But I'll tell you what, this one is impressive because it makes me realize it's hard year after year after year to live up to expectations. And we're seeing the Dolphins and the Jets underachieve, and playing down to expectations. But year after year after year, the Bills are living up to them when it comes to the division anyway. And we just had an election less than a week ago, and the Bills, for all intents and purposes,
Don't remind me about the election.
Bills, for all intents and purposes, the Bills have won the AFC East already. It just it blows my mind, dude. It really does. Anyway.
No, it's definitely impressive. I mean, I give that, it's 5 straight division titles. I mean, that's impressive, and we deserve that. Going through the freaking drought. And like, as much as people like, the guy just now who said I was negative and all that, the most positive thing or whatever the hell I said. Yeah. I get that, but like, I'm enjoying myself watching them play. I'll never be one of those guys that goes, the drought was better because there was no hope or whatever the hell you want to call it. I will always enjoy that, and, there will be none of that from here. So like, I will enjoy it forever. And, that's it. See, I changed the photo. I got Doug Flutie hurt. Joe Bequeath. There you go, man. I just found that photo. I was sick of looking at that thing. So there you go. Doug Flutie's
Bruce
hurt.
Avatar. All right.
Yeah, the Bruce Avatar's Doug Flutie hurt. Sorry, Doug.
All right, guys. It's going to do it for this episode. Thank you again, Joe from Queens. Thank you on the video side. Almost 700 people checking us out live. Of course, this will be on demand on video, audio side, anytime on Monday. Be back. Brand new show. Going to have a film breakdown, some biggest takeaways.
Yeah, Film Bro Moran hour coming this week. Film Bros.